The best part about watching my supervisor panic wasn't the money, though that $265,000 offer didn't hurt. It wasn't even seeing her scramble to explain to the board why 7 major clients walked out in 5 weeks. The best part was knowing she'd brought it all on herself when she hit that delete button in front of 28 people. My name is Scott Anderson. I'm 49 years old, and 3 months ago, I watched what I thought was my career get destroyed in about 30 seconds. Turns out it was actually the beginning of the most satisfying comeback story you'll ever hear. But let me back up, because this whole thing started way before Jennifer Walsh decided to torch my work in that conference room. And trust me, you need the whole story to understand just how perfectly everything fell apart for her. 18 months ago, I took a job at Apex Industrial Solutions as Senior Operations Analyst. Look, I've been working in manufacturing for 24 years. Started on the assembly line right out of high school at a Ford plant in Detroit. Worked my way up through quality control, maintenance supervisor, plant engineering, the whole 9 yards. So when I saw this consulting job posting, I figured it would be easy money. Help some industrial clients optimize their processes, maybe share some hard-earned wisdom, clock out at 5 p.m. for once, instead of pulling overtime every weekend. My wife Linda was excited about the change. After 2 decades of shift work and plant shutdowns, a consulting gig seemed like the stability we needed. Our son Ryan was starting his senior year, looking at colleges, and our daughter Michelle was hitting high school. The timing felt right. What they didn't mention in the job interview was that Apex was hemorrhaging clients faster than a busted hydraulic line. The guy before me lasted exactly 7 months before walking out. No notice, no transition, no documentation, just gone. And my new supervisor, Jennifer Walsh, made it crystal clear from day one that she blamed operations people like me for the company's problems. Jennifer was one of those MBA types who thought business was all about the numbers on spreadsheets. You know the kind. Never worked a day in actual manufacturing, but could talk your ear off about efficiency metrics and key performance indicators. She had one of those corner offices with motivational posters about synergy and paradigm shifts. The idea that industrial clients might want to work with someone who actually understood their day-to-day challenges was completely foreign to her theoretical approach to everything. Here's the thing, though. When I started digging into our client files, I found exactly what I expected. Page after page of generic service reports that sounded like they'd been written by robots. No real understanding of how these companies actually operated. No indication that anyone at Apex had ever set foot in a manufacturing facility or talked to someone who had grease under their fingernails. These weren't just any clients either. We're talking about Carl Stevens, who ran Stevens Steel Works, a company that employed 180 people and had been in business for 28 years. Jason Rodriguez's logistics operation, Rodriguez Freight Solutions, moved cargo for half the construction companies in 2 states. Anthony Parker ran Parker Construction Group, building everything from strip malls to industrial complexes. These guys knew their businesses inside and out, and they could spot consultant BS from a mile away. So I started doing something that apparently was revolutionary at Apex. I began treating these clients like the experienced professionals they were. When Carl mentioned during a routine quarterly check-in that equipment downtime was killing his numbers, I didn't just log it as a complaint and move on to the next agenda item. I asked if I could come take a look. Jennifer nearly choked on her coffee when I requested permission to visit a client site. We don't do field visits. That's inefficient use of billable hours. Handle it with a phone consultation. But I pushed back. Carl's got $1.8 million worth of fabrication equipment. If we can solve his downtime problem, he'll probably double his contract with us. 3 days later, I'm walking through Carl's facility in steel-toed boots and a hard hat, talking to his maintenance supervisor, looking at historical breakdown data, actually understanding what was going wrong. Here's what I found. Their preventive maintenance schedule was completely backwards for the type of heavy-duty equipment they were running. These weren't light manufacturing machines running 8-hour shifts. Carl's operation ran 14-hour days, 6 days a week. They had hydraulic press brakes that were 12 years old, but built like tanks. Plasma cutting tables that ran almost continuously. Overhead cranes moving 4-ton steel beams all day long. The manufacturer's recommended maintenance schedule was designed for typical use, not the kind of industrial beating Carl's equipment took. I spent 2 weeks developing a predictive maintenance protocol based on actual usage data, not textbook recommendations. Temperature monitoring on critical hydraulic components, vibration analysis on the big presses, oil analysis schedules that match their production cycles rather than arbitrary calendar dates. We installed 700 and 500 worth of monitoring equipment and retrained their maintenance crew. Results: equipment downtime dropped 21% in the first quarter. That's real money. We're talking about $38,000 in avoided production losses. Carl was so impressed he signed a 3-year extension and referred 2 other fabrication companies to us. When I presented the results to Jennifer, you'd think she'd be celebrating. Instead, she pulled out her efficiency reports. Scott, you spent 32 billable hours on this project. Standard protocol is 12 hours maximum for operational assessments. Why did you spend triple the allocated time? She didn't care about the $38,000 savings. She didn't care about the 3-year contract extension. She didn't care about the 2 referrals. All she saw were efficiency metrics that didn't fit her spreadsheet formulas. Look, Jennifer, I said, Carl's paying us $160,000 a year now instead of $55,000. That's nearly triple our revenue from one client. Seems like a pretty good return on those extra 20 hours. That's not how we measure performance here, she replied, making a note on her tablet. Billable hour optimization is our primary success metric. Right there, I should have known how this was going to end. That was 2 years ago. Today, I'm writing this from my corner office at Morrison Industrial Partners, where I serve as senior partner and head of technical operations. The company has grown from 8 employees to 32, and we're booked solid through next year with clients who want real solutions, not PowerPoint presentations. Last month, I got a call that made me smile. Anthony Parker was expanding his construction operation and needed help setting up resource management for 2 new project teams. Scott, he said, I've got guys calling me asking who designed our scheduling system. Can Morrison handle bigger operations? 3 weeks later, we signed a $180,000 contract to implement our resource allocation methodology across 4 major construction firms. Anthony's original system has become a case study we use to win new business. That's what happens when you solve real problems, they multiply. Carl Stevens stopped by the office last week. His steel operation is running so efficiently now that he's considering a second shift. That predictive maintenance system you set up is still saving us money every month, he told me. My maintenance costs are down 31% from 2 years ago, and we haven't had an unplanned shutdown in 14 months. Carl's success led to contracts with 6 other fabrication companies. Word travels fast in manufacturing when someone figures out how to keep expensive equipment running. We're now the go-to firm for predictive maintenance implementation in the Great Lakes region. Jason Rodriguez recently bought 2 new trucks and hired 3 additional drivers. His cross-docking system is so effective that other logistics companies started copying it. Scott, I need you to help my brother-in-law set up something similar in Columbus, Jason said during our quarterly review. He's been watching my fuel costs drop for 2 years and finally wants to stop being jealous. That referral turned into a $95,000 project that spawned contracts with 4 more regional freight companies. Jason's warehouse redesign has become our template for logistics optimization. The personal satisfaction goes beyond the money. Though that $265,000 base salary plus profit sharing has been life-changing for my family. Linda doesn't worry anymore about making mortgage payments or whether we can afford Ryan's college tuition. My son graduated from Michigan State last spring with an engineering degree and 0 student loans. My daughter Michelle is a senior in high school now, already accepted to 3 universities with partial scholarships. She wants to study industrial design, says she's inspired by watching her dad solve real-world problems. But the best part is what happened to the industry. Morrison Industrial's approach, detailed analysis, on-site problem-solving, customized solutions forced our competitors to step up their game. Clients started demanding better service from everyone. The consulting firms that adapted survived. The ones that didn't, well, Apex Industrial Solutions lasted exactly 18 months after I left. The staff cuts kept coming as clients abandoned ship. Jennifer's efficiency metrics looked great on paper right up until the company had no revenue to measure. The merger with Hartwell Consulting was really just Hartwell buying Apex's remaining contracts for pennies on the dollar. Jennifer wasn't retained after the merger. Through professional network contacts, I heard she struggled to find another consulting position. Turns out, Hiring managers in industrial consulting started asking tough questions about actual client results, not just process optimization theories. Her Harvard MBA still looked impressive on paper, but she couldn't point to a single operational improvement she'd personally implemented. Last I heard, she'd taken a position with a mid-sized accounting firm managing their business process division. No client contact, just internal efficiency projects. Probably better suited to her skill set, honestly. Sometimes people find their right level when the market forces them there. Ronald Pierce, Apex's former CEO, reached out about 6 months ago. He'd started a new venture capital firm focused on manufacturing technology. "Scott, I should have backed your approach from day one," he admitted during our lunch meeting. "Watching Morrison's growth over the past 2 years, it's obvious you understood something the rest of us missed. He wanted Morrison to partner with his VC firm, helping evaluate manufacturing companies before investment. I need someone who can walk into a plant and tell me in 2 hours whether their operations are solid or just smoke and mirrors," he explained. "We signed a consulting agreement that's brought in another $140,000 in revenue this year." The vindication felt good, but what felt better was proving that experience and practical knowledge still matter in a world increasingly obsessed with theoretical solutions and digital shortcuts. Kevin Morrison, our firm's founder, promoted me to senior partner last year with a 15% equity stake. "Scott, you've basically built our entire service methodology," he said during the promotion meeting. "Morrison Industrial Partners exists because you proved there's huge demand for consultants who actually understand operations." These days, I spend about half my time in the field solving problems and half mentoring our younger analysts. We've hired 3 recent engineering graduates, and I make sure they understand that spreadsheets are tools, not solutions. "Get your hands dirty," I tell them. Talk to the maintenance supervisor, ride with the forklift operator, understand how things actually work before you start recommending changes. 2 of our junior analysts came from traditional consulting backgrounds, where they'd been trained to process client requests as efficiently as possible. Learning our approach, detailed analysis, customized solutions, whatever time it takes to get it right, was like teaching them a new language. But watching their faces when they see their first major operational improvement take hold, that makes the investment worthwhile. The industry recognition has been gratifying too. Manufacturing Today magazine featured Morrison Industrial in their Innovative Consultants article last spring. The headline read, "How old-school problem-solving is revolutionizing modern manufacturing." They interviewed me about our methodology and why hands-on analysis produces better results than remote diagnostics. "Efficiency isn't about processing clients quickly," I told the reporter. "It's about solving their problems completely the first time." A client who calls back in 6 months with the same issue isn't satisfied. He's evidence that you didn't do the job right initially. That article generated 23 new client inquiries and landed us contracts with 2 Fortune 500 manufacturing companies. Sometimes the best marketing is just explaining why you do good work. Looking back, getting publicly humiliated and having my work deleted was the best thing that could have happened to my career. It forced me out of a company that valued the wrong metrics and into an environment where solving real problems gets rewarded appropriately. Jennifer taught me an important lesson that day, though probably not the one she intended. She showed me that when someone tries to erase your work, they're really just revealing their own insecurity about its value. Competent leaders don't destroy evidence of success. They study it, learn from it, and figure out how to replicate it. The work speaks for itself. Carl's equipment runs better. Jason's trucks burn less fuel. Anthony's projects finish on time. Dozens of other clients across the Midwest have operations that function more efficiently because someone took the time to understand their specific challenges and develop customized solutions. That's the kind of legacy worth building, and no delete button can touch it. You know what they don't teach you in business school? How to handle success when it comes from doing exactly what everyone said was wrong. 3 months after that Manufacturing Today article hit the stands, I got invited to speak at the Midwest Industrial Conference in Chicago. 500 manufacturing executives, plant managers, and consultants packed into the ballroom at the Palmer House. The topic, why traditional consulting fails manufacturing. Standing at that podium, looking out at an audience full of people who'd been burned by consultants promising easy solutions, I realized how much the industry had needed someone to say what everyone was thinking, but nobody wanted to admit. How many of you have paid a consultant $50,000 to tell you things your maintenance supervisor already knew? I asked. About half the hands in the room went up, followed by knowing laughter. That's the problem right there. We've created an industry that values impressive presentations over practical knowledge. That treats decades of hands-on experience like it's somehow less valuable than a fresh MBA and a laptop full of templates. The response was immediate. During the networking break, I had plant managers lined up to share horror stories about consultants who'd never set foot on a factory floor trying to redesign their operations. Maintenance supervisors telling me about expensive software that nobody used because it didn't match how work actually got done. But the conversation that stuck with me came from Maria Santos, a plant manager at an automotive parts supplier in Indiana. "Scott, I've been running operations for 22 years, she said. I know what's wrong with my equipment better than any consultant ever will. But my corporate office won't listen to me unless the recommendations come from someone with consulting group in their business card." That hit me hard. How many good solutions never get implemented because they come from the wrong source? How many problems persist because companies trust outside expertise more than their own people's knowledge? It got me thinking about Morrison Industrial's approach differently. We weren't just solving operational problems. We were translating between two languages: the practical knowledge that exists in every manufacturing facility and the business case presentations that corporate offices need to approve changes. When I got back to Detroit, I started structuring our projects differently. Instead of coming in as outside experts with all the answers, we began positioning ourselves as amplifiers for the internal expertise that already existed. Take our recent project with Great Lakes Stamping. Their press operators knew exactly why part quality was inconsistent, but management kept dismissing their concerns as operator error. We spent 2 weeks documenting what the operators already understood, that hydraulic pressure fluctuations were causing dimensional variations in stamped parts. Our report didn't reveal anything the floor supervisors didn't know, but it presented their observations in language that resonated with corporate decision makers. Statistical process control charts, cost-benefit analyses, ROI projections. The operators got the hydraulic system upgrades they'd been requesting for 18 months. The result was a 34% reduction in scrap rates and $107,000 in annual savings. More importantly, management started listening when their experienced operators identified problems. That's sustainable improvement, not just fixing the immediate issue, but changing how problems get identified and addressed going forward. This approach has become Morrison Industrial's signature methodology. We call it amplified expertise, using consulting frameworks to elevate and validate the practical knowledge that manufacturing professionals already possess. The business results have been remarkable. Our client retention rate is now 94%. Average project ROI exceeds 400%. But the personal satisfaction comes from watching maintenance supervisors and plant managers get credit for solutions they developed, with us simply providing the business case documentation they needed. Last year, we started offering what we call internal consultant training, teaching manufacturing professionals how to present their operational insights using business language that gets corporate approval. It's become our fastest growing service line. The program attracts experienced operators, maintenance supervisors, and plant managers who understand their facilities better than any outside consultant ever could, but struggle to communicate operational needs to executive leadership. We teach them how to quantify problems, structure recommendations, and build compelling business cases. One graduate, Tommy Rodriguez, a maintenance supervisor with 28 years at a paper mill in Wisconsin, used our training to finally get approval for a $340,000 equipment upgrade he'd been requesting for 5 years. His presentation to corporate included predictive maintenance data, historical breakdown analysis, and projected cost savings that justified the investment within 14 months. "Scott, for the first time in my career, they listened," Tommy told me during a follow-up call. Same information I've been giving them for years, but presented in a way they could understand and approve. That's the real lesson Jennifer Walsh never grasped. Consulting isn't about imposing solutions from the outside. It's about recognizing expertise wherever it exists and helping translate it into action. The irony is that traditional consulting's obsession with efficiency actually makes it less effective. When you limit analysis to 16 billable hours, you miss the subtle operational knowledge that only comes from extended observation. When you standardize solutions, you ignore the unique circumstances that determine whether any approach will actually work. Real efficiency comes from solving problems completely the first time, even if it takes longer initially. A manufacturing line that runs smoothly for 2 years because someone took time to understand the underlying issues is infinitely more efficient than a quick fix that needs constant attention. This philosophy has attracted talent to Morrison Industrial that traditional consulting firms struggle to retain. Our senior analysts average 19 years of industry experience. They chose to work with us specifically because we value depth over speed, understanding over efficiency metrics. Kevin Morrison jokes that we're running the anti-consulting consulting firm. No efficiency dashboards, no billable hour quotas, no standardized solution templates. Just experienced professionals taking whatever time necessary to understand problems and develop solutions that actually work. The financial results speak for themselves. Morrison Industrial's revenue grew 340% over the past 2 years. We've expanded to offices in Milwaukee and Cleveland, with plans for Cincinnati next year. Our profit margins exceed industry averages because clients pay premium rates for consultants who deliver lasting solutions. But the real validation comes from the industry recognition. The Society of Manufacturing Engineers named Morrison Industrial Consulting Firm of the Year last month. The award citation specifically mentioned our innovative approach to combining theoretical frameworks with practical operational expertise. Standing on stage accepting that award, I thought about Jennifer Walsh's efficiency metrics and standardized protocols. About 18 months of work getting deleted because it didn't fit her ideas about scalable consulting. She was right about one thing: our approach isn't easily scalable. You can't mass produce the kind of analysis we do. You can't train someone with 6 months of consulting experience to do what takes decades of operational knowledge to understand. But that's exactly why it works. Manufacturing problems are complex, facilities are unique, and solutions require deep understanding that only comes from experience and time. Companies pay us well precisely because we can't be replicated by cheaper alternatives. The manufacturing executives who hire Morrison Industrial aren't looking for efficiency metrics. They want problems solved permanently. They want consultants who understand that a hydraulic press isn't just a line item in a budget. It's a critical piece of equipment that affects quality, delivery, and profitability in ways that only become clear when you've spent time watching it operate. That understanding can't be deleted, can't be replaced by standardized protocols, and can't be made more efficient by reducing analysis time. It's built through years of experience, refined through careful observation, and validated through results that show up in client bottom lines month after month. That's the kind of consulting that matters, and the kind of legacy worth building. The hardest part about this whole story isn't what Jennifer did to me in that conference room. It's what I almost let her convince me was true about myself. For about 3 weeks after she deleted my work, I started questioning everything. Maybe I was spending too much time on projects. Maybe detailed analysis really was inefficient. Maybe 24 years of manufacturing experience didn't matter as much as I thought it did. Linda found me in the garage one Saturday morning, staring at my old toolbox from my Ford plant days. "You thinking about going back to the floor?" she asked. "Maybe I should," I said. "At least when you fix a machine, you know whether it works or not. None of this consulting BS where success gets measured by how fast you process paperwork." Linda sat down on the workbench next to me. We'd been married 23 years at that point, and she knew me well enough to let me work through whatever was bothering me. "Scott, you remember when Ryan was 12 and couldn't figure out algebra," she said. His teacher kept giving him the same worksheets, same methods, same approach. Kid was failing because nobody bothered to understand how he learns. I nodded. Ryan had struggled with math until we found a tutor who took time to understand his learning style. "You spent 3 hours every night for 2 months working with him," Linda continued. "Different explanations, different examples, whatever it took until something clicked. Most parents would have given up after a week." "That's different," I said. "No, it's not. It's exactly the same. You solve problems by understanding them completely, even if it takes longer than other people think it should. That's not inefficiency, that's thoroughness. And Ryan's been good at math ever since because you took the time to do it right." That conversation reminded me why I'd gotten into consulting in the first place. Not to process clients efficiently, but to solve problems that other people couldn't or wouldn't take time to understand properly. The funny thing about getting publicly humiliated is how it clarifies what actually matters to you. All the doubt and second-guessing disappeared the moment Kevin Morrison offered me that position. Not because of the money, though $265,000 certainly didn't hurt, but because he valued exactly what Jennifer considered wasteful. "We don't want consultants who can process requests quickly," Kevin had told me during the interview. "We want people who can solve problems that other firms can't touch, the kind of complex operational issues that require real expertise and time to understand." That's when I realized Jennifer had done me a favor. She'd forced me out of a company that measured the wrong things and into an environment where doing good work actually got rewarded. The transition wasn't seamless, though. Ryan was a junior in high school when I made the switch, worried about college costs and whether changing jobs would affect our family's stability. Michelle was in 8th grade, old enough to sense the tension, but not understand what was happening. "Dad, are we going to be okay?" Michelle asked me one evening while I was updating my resume. Simple question from a 13-year-old, but it hit me harder than Jennifer's public humiliation. "Yeah, kiddo, we're going to be better than okay," I told her. Sometimes when one door closes, a better one opens. I wasn't just trying to reassure her. I genuinely believed that taking the Morrison Industrial position was the right move, even though it meant leaving the stability of an established company for a startup consulting firm. Linda worried more than she let on. 23 years of marriage to someone who'd worked his way up from the factory floor had taught her to appreciate steady paychecks and predictable careers. Consulting seemed risky, especially at my age. What if it doesn't work out? She asked me the night before I started at Morrison Industrial. What if we can't make the mortgage payments? What if Ryan can't afford college? Then I'll go back to the plant, I said. But Linda, I've spent 18 months proving that this approach works. Carl Stevens, Jason Rodriguez, Anthony Parker, they didn't follow me to Morrison Industrial because they felt sorry for me. They came because I solved problems that nobody else could solve. The validation came quickly. Within 6 months, our family's financial situation had improved dramatically. The base salary increase was significant, but the profit sharing made the real difference. As Morrison Industrial grew, my equity stake became increasingly valuable. Ryan graduated from Michigan State without student loans. Full tuition, room and board, engineering degree, 0 debt. When I handed him his diploma case after commencement, he looked at me and said, "Dad, I know what it cost for you to make this possible." That moment was worth every hour of doubt, every sleepless night, wondering if I'd made the right decision, every time I'd question whether experience really mattered more than efficiency metrics. Michelle is a senior now, accepted to 3 universities with partial scholarships. She wants to study industrial design, says she's inspired by watching her dad help companies solve real problems. Last month, she asked if she could visit one of our client sites during spring break. "I want to see what you actually do," she said. "Not the office stuff, but the real work." So I took her to Carl Stevens' steel fabrication shop, showed her the predictive maintenance system we'd installed, explained how monitoring equipment temperatures and vibration patterns prevents expensive breakdowns. Michelle spent 2 hours talking to the maintenance crew, asking questions about how they used our monitoring system and what problems it had solved. Watching her engage with those guys, really listening to their expertise, understanding how theoretical concepts translate into practical solutions, I realized she'd inherited something valuable from watching her old man work. "Dad, this is so much better than what I imagined consulting was," she told me on the drive home. "I thought it was just PowerPoint presentations and meetings. But you're actually helping people do their jobs better?" That's when it hit me. The real victory wasn't proving Jennifer Walsh wrong or building Morrison Industrial into a successful firm. It was showing my kids that work can be meaningful, that experience has value, and that sometimes doing the right thing leads to better outcomes than taking the easy path. Ryan calls me every few weeks from his engineering job in Grand Rapids. He works for a manufacturing company that makes automotive components, and he's already been promoted twice in 18 months. "Dad, I use stuff you taught me every day," he told me during our last conversation. "When there's a production problem, I go talk to the operators first, not look at the computer reports. The guys on the floor know what's actually happening." Michelle starts college next fall. She's chosen industrial design specifically because she wants to create products that work well in real manufacturing environments, not just look good in theoretical presentations. Both my kids learned something from watching their father get knocked down and come back stronger. They saw that experience matters, that doing good work eventually gets recognized, and that sometimes the best opportunities come from the worst situations. Linda doesn't worry about mortgage payments anymore. Last year, we paid off the house completely. But more than the financial security, she appreciates having a husband who comes home energized by his work instead of frustrated by corporate politics. "You're happy," she told me recently. "Really happy for the first time in years. Even before the Jennifer thing, you were frustrated at Apex. Now you wake up excited about solving problems." She's right. At 51, I'm doing the best work of my career, making more money than I ever imagined, and helping companies solve problems that make a real difference in their operations. But the deepest satisfaction comes from knowing that when Jennifer Walsh clicked that delete button, she didn't erase anything that mattered. The knowledge, the experience, the problem-solving ability, none of that existed in those computer files. It was all in my head, built through decades of hands-on work, and no amount of corporate politics could touch it. The work speaks for itself, the results last, and sometimes the best revenge really is just proving that what they tried to destroy was more valuable than they ever understood. Sometimes the people who try to erase your legacy are really just advertising how threatened they are by its value, and in trying to diminish you, they end up proving exactly why you're irreplaceable. The best victories aren't won by fighting back against those who underestimate you, but by building something so undeniably successful that their judgment becomes irrelevant to everyone who matters.